Sean, welcome to the Big Lad Podcast. How are we doing?
I'm not too bad. How are yourself?
Not too bad, mate. It's been a while since we actually worked out. Was it 3 years ago? 2 years ago?
Yeah, it was like just after lockdown, I think, when the gyms just reopened. I think.
Yeah, it's been a while. We've tried to sort stuff out like since, but calendars just haven't lined up.
That's just me, I'm just a nightmare. I'm not ignoring you or anything, it's just I'm an absolute nightmare to plan stuff around life.
Yeah, I'm not too far off the same, to be honest. It's busy. Got work, PT, podcast, football, and then you've got to try and work out around all that as well, haven't you?
Yeah. Are you still doing the accountant?
Yes, yeah. So Monday to Friday, 9 to 5, I'm a project accountant, and then I have everything else on top of it.
You got a new job, didn't you? I'm sure you said...
Yeah, last year.
End of last year, yeah.
Yeah. So about June last year, so it's coming up to a year that I've been in it. It's flown by, to be quite honest. It's quite worrying. This year's especially. Week after week is just flying, as if we're in nearly the end of April already.
I'd say the busier you get, the more you realise like you don't even look at your watch all the time, and that's it. Before you know it, it's like 2 weeks later. You're like,
yeah, it is mad. So for the listeners and watchers at home, would you like to give yourself a little introduction about what you are, what you do?
Yeah, so I'm a bit of everything really. PT, photographer, videographer, PT for the NHS, and yeah, that's pretty much about it. So it's not everything, but it is quite a lot. So
makes you busy at least.
I've got my hands pretty full on at the minute, especially with just trying to get my photography business out there as well.
So you started the PT first, didn't you? And that's in gym.
Yeah.
So how did that start, and when did you start that?
That was about, honestly, coming up about 5 years, technically 4 years if you take COVID out of it. Because that was a good year out of work really. So yeah, I've just planned everything really from start to finish. So when I left retail, I worked in JD for about 5 years. I was in and out of there because I hated it. So I left, went to another job. Pretty much, if someone works in JD who's listening to this, they'll probably left as well. So they left and they'll come back and then they'll go back again. But you'll find with retail, you just get comfortable because it's easy work and it's like okay money for what you do.
Yeah.
So I left, and then what did I do from there? So yeah, then I worked in a coffee shop. So I used to go to Starbucks quite regularly. Worked in there for about 6 months, and then within that 6 months, I kind of realised I kind of wanted to work for myself. I've realised every job I've been in hasn't been horrendous. It's just been I don't like working for someone. I don't like being under someone else's shoes. This is why I moved out with my parents, and I just couldn't do it. So I applied for an apprenticeship in business management. So that was more like a safety call because I always wanted to kind of do PT when I left school. So when going back to school, I got bullied quite a lot. I'm just going through that typical story where the gym kind of helps you, and so one of my mates basically took me to a little leisure centre, started training from there, and then I kind of fell in love with it. So me having self-employed in my head or working for myself, and then gym, I was like, I'll try and do that. But 5 years ago, it probably wasn't a massive thing. Now it's like everyone's trying to be a PT. But 5 years ago, it was great. But I kind of thought of it quite carefully, so I didn't go for the online option. So I went to a lot of online companies and basically asked the questions, and they kind of didn't realise what they were kind of saying when I was asking them questions. I feel like they just kept going like they didn't actually have a clue what they were talking about. They just wanted to sell the product and that's it. But I went to this place in Durham, which was like more of a one-to-one. So I went to go and speak to them, kind of going in thinking they're just going to say exactly the same as the online people. But the way they were coming across was, they kind of want PTs to start talking to people a bit better, as in like, because that is PT work. Anyone can go and pass a PT course, like anyone can. It's just GCSE biology. So it's how they actually come across with people. So me having the retail job, Starbucks job, working in this business manager job, I kind of worked with a hell of a lot more, like a bigger variety of people. So I thought, right, so that's kind of like put me forward of actually how to speak to people. I'm probably not making much sense now because I'm quite nervous on here. But so like I was pretty sold straight away. So they were kind of saying they want more PTs to kind of master the practical side of it, which was actually how to explain exercises, how to make people comfortable face to face, because this day and age people can't really speak to people very well face to face. Everything's on phones. Like you can DM people absolutely brilliantly, but as soon as you start speaking to someone, you're like, do you know what I mean? So obviously my confidence talking to people grew massively just through that. So I passed that course, but within like maybe a month before I qualified, I got all my logos done. I got like 4 clients signed up straight away, and I got in touch with a private gym, well, it's like semi-private gym on Scottswood Road, which is Collard's gym, Adam Collard's gym, Sculpt.
Right.
So I got in touch with him. So obviously I knew him since school, so it was kind of a good way to kind of me get into the PT world. But commercial gyms, I've never really took my business through that, just because with private gyms it's a hell of a lot nicer for a client to come to a PT, I think, through a private gym, so it's not as busy. And I feel like if you're paying quite a premium price for something, like a private gym is quite a nice option. But obviously not everyone can afford private, so they obviously 9 times out of 10 people go to a commercial gym, plus you get your memberships and stuff, but we can talk about that later on. But yeah, it's going off topic there, but what was I saying? So yeah, obviously once the apprenticeship was 3 years, this business management thing, and yeah, within, I think it was the second year, I qualified completely as a personal trainer. So I did kind of both. I did office 9 to 5, straight to a gym, doing my PT clients, and then I was staying till about 11 o'clock. Me and my best mate would kind of like help each other out. He was coming to the gym at 10 o'clock at night, filming all my content for social media, and then back again 6 o'clock in the morning, PT till 8 o'clock, and then 9 to 5, and then back. It was just constantly filing. It was a good solid 8 months I was doing that for. But I knew for a fact, I was like, I want to get this qualification from business management. I want to get that ticked off, and then, and yeah. So then once I got my certificate, I remember I was actually sitting on my lunch break, and I was like, right, there's actually no need for me to be here right now. So when I went to speak to the manager, he knew exactly what I was going to say, because we had a meeting every single week, and the first thing he said was, "How's your PT going?" Like, he didn't ask about my job. Like, he just said like, "Oh, how's my PT going?" and stuff. And then everyone in that office was just like, "Go and do what you want to do." Like, so I literally went on my lunch break, spoke to my team. I was like, "Look, I'll help you out today, but like today's my last day. Like, I'm not coming back." Literally, I left that day, and then I had to break it to my parents. My parents are actually not that bothered about it, to be fair. I sat down with them properly. They were like, "Well, you're still living at home. You got nothing to lose. Like, you got no commitments really." So I was like, I didn't actually expect them. My mum was a typical mum. She was just a bit like, "Oh, he's not going to have a very comfortable career." But they knew I was kind of like switched on, and I've got this mindset where I just don't stop. Like, I can't actually sit and do nothing. Like, I'm pretty sure I've got ADHD. Like, so I just can't sit still. Like, I have to do something. So yeah, once I left the office job, I was like, "Oh crap, I've got all these hours now." I was like, I went from like 4 hours a day to then like, do you know what I mean? So I went from 6 till 8, and then 6 till 8 on a night time. Throughout the day, I actually had nothing to do, so that was a good way of kind of like getting my name out there a bit more. And yeah, it just grew massively for some reason. For the first like 5 months, it just like I got clients after clients after clients. I think it's just the way I like marketed myself, and just, yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, I think, like you say, like,
right down, but
so like you say though, you've had those jobs in retail and things like that, so you've got that personal connection, which I think a lot of PTs genuinely do struggle with, especially the younger ones coming up. Like you said, a lot of them live through the phones DMing each other, but then as soon as they meet up in person, they don't know how to have a conversation. Whereas you've had that almost practical experience of being in retail, working in a Starbucks, speaking to people on a daily basis, and different people.
Starbucks was very businessy. Like, I thought the customers that went to JD were hard, like your typical like chav type. You know what I mean? Like, you get loads of different type of variety of people in there. But Starbucks was just very businessy, and they were a hell of a lot harder to talk to than the customers in JD.
Right.
Just out of like rudeness, to be honest with you. Like, there were so many business people going to Starbucks and just being so rude to you, so you had to kind of like alter your personality to suit them. But I was a nightmare, because I'd put my personality to like how they would, if that makes sense. As in, like, if they ignored me, I would ignore them. But like, the manager couldn't sack me because I was really good at talking to the customers. On like, 'cause I worked on the drive-through quite a bit. Right. And I used to get told off for talking them too much, because I think on the drive-through they've got like a time of how quick that you have to go around. So I was just chatting away, man. Like, that was the only thing I was good at. So she couldn't really sack me for being rude to them, because I said them all. It was like, for instance, like someone used to come up to the desk and be on the phone, and then be like, "Oh, can I have such and such?" and then be at the phone. So I just walk away. And he says, "Excuse me, like, you've just walked away." I was like, "Well, yeah, you're on your phone." Like, it taught me after. Oh, I was brutal. But I was like, and that was like a kind of a light switch where I was like, nah, this is not for me. This like,
Yeah, it doesn't sound like it.
Nah, I hate getting told what to do. I hate like I don't like it at all. So, but yeah.
So you were pretty stacked from the beginning then. So you obviously had your PT going on in the morning and the evenings, and then bang in the middle of 9 to 5. Like, what was the original reason for you actually signing up for that apprenticeship? If you knew sort of from then that you didn't actually want to go anywhere with it?
It was more just for safety, really, in case my PT didn't work out, so I could go back into that job if I want to. Even now, if like my business, if my PT career went down the line, I could potentially go back into that, and then because I've got the qualification, do you know what I mean? So it was more just like I was kind of thinking ahead, and then another reason why I kind of dropped out of that was because I was making a little bit more money from my PT than I was in my job.
Okay.
So I kind of made it was quite good timing, if I'm honest with you. So like obviously I pushed myself quite a lot to get the extra clients. Obviously on a weekend I work 9 to 5, so my weekends were free, so I could get like I think I had about 4 or 5 clients on a Saturday. So like the money that I generated from PT was exactly the same what I was winning from my apprenticeship. So then I was like, I didn't technically need the PT one because I was still living at home, and it was just extra cash really to like put away for like website design, my logos, and all that kind of stuff. So do you know what I mean? So as soon as I made that money, I was like, right, I can leave that, and then I can kind of stick with the PT money. So
yeah, it makes sense to have a safety net. Like me personally, obviously I have my PT outside of my day job.
Yeah.
If the PT doesn't go well, I've got my day job, and I'm not.
Yeah.
Well, I say I'm not too busy, but I am pretty busy on a day-to-day basis, especially with now the podcast coming back. But I think a lot of people make excuses these days that they've not got enough time to do things, and it's literally like people that say I've not got enough time to go to the gym when all they do is a day job, and then just go and get drunk on a Friday, Saturday, but they don't have enough time. Yet they make time every night to watch the favourite show at 8, 9 o'clock. I'm like, you have more than enough time to get stuff done. People
get it in their head to think, oh, I'm going to do this, but they don't actually do it.
No.
Like, but I was like hungry. I know it sounds really cringe, but I was like proper hungry to like work for myself, and I could potentially make a hell of a lot more money doing what I do now than working in an office 9 to 5. And it's just it just wasn't for me. Like, my lifestyle just wasn't good for me sitting behind a desk working on Excel spreadsheets. I just didn't like doing it. Obviously for you, like yours is different because like it's a good job, do you know what I mean? But the job I had, it was just no like, there was just no career path for me unless I had to work years and years to get up to the top. But then, do you know what I mean? But
see, that was the thing with me before I got my new job last year. I did sort of weigh it up, like how many clients I would need to sort of replace my day wage, and I started doing it, and I was like, I actually don't need all that much. And it obviously with the extra time of getting rid of my day job, it wouldn't have been too bad. But then I got my new job and I got a pay rise and everything, and then I actually have a career path with it now. Like I've got sort of steps in place to get to the next level and things like that. So it's a bit harder for me to weigh up now. But you never know; it could happen in the future. But at the moment, I'm pretty happy with my day job and the way that's going. Sort of stepping up in career with obviously now the podcast and PT on the side of that.
That's what I'm saying. Like you sound like you have like a good paid job. But with mine, there was just, it started off really small, and then it would take years to go up a little bit. It wasn't just a, do you know what I mean? So that's another thing I looked at. I was just like, I've got to be at least 30. I would have had to wait maybe 5 or 6 years to even be on like livable money. But probably back then we didn't realise the recession was going to happen. Do you know what I mean? So probably I think I've just done I think I've made the right choice, I think.
Yeah, I mean, before I had all my PT stuff and that, I started off on like apprenticeship wage, so I know the sort of wages we're talking about, and it's not great. Yeah. And a couple of years in, it's all right, but then like it's just that initial bit. Like now I look back at it and I'm like, how did I afford to do anything on that wage? Yeah. It's mental.
It's everything's just expensive, man. It's hard.
It is. Life's expensive now. But so do you just fully do in-person PT, or do you do online as well on the side of that?
Yeah, in-person PT. So I've tried to do online, but I've looked at this way. There's that many online coaches now. Like, what makes me stand out from the rest? That's what I've kind of realised. I was just like, I'm not going to waste my time. Plus, I like going to work. I like going and having that one-to-one connection. That's the whole reason why I was sold on my PT course, was because I like working with people. I hate working with people, if that makes sense, but I like working with people, if that makes sense. Like, I hate working with the public, that's what I kind of say, but working closely with the clients, like, it's nice. Plus, I couldn't sit. I left a desk job and I couldn't sit at a desk job if I was doing online coaching. Do you know what I mean? So it just wouldn't make sense. But I just think personal training is just, I think getting an online coach, like, I think it's good for some people, but I think 9 times out of 10, I think people, if they can't afford it, they would much rather do in-person PT and actually get that person looking at you not 24/7, but like all the time. Do you know what I mean? So
I think, like you say, there's pros and cons to it. Like, obviously everyone's different, so someone might work better with an in-person, someone might work better with an online coach. I think the online side of things obviously opens it up to the whole world. So like, I've got clients that have been in Cyprus. There's a guy who I've just signed up who's from America, but he's now like in the UAE with the Navy. So like, it opens it up that way. But obviously you get that more intimate connection with someone if you're working on a one-to-one basis in a gym. So it is pros and cons, obviously. Like, it's going to work differently for everyone. Yeah.
I just think my mindset, I couldn't do the online coaching. Like I said, I've got nothing for me stands out more than, say, like you. Do you know what I mean? Like, if someone came to me say online coaching, I'd be like, just go to someone else who's been doing it for longer than me. Same with group training. Like, I've tried group training, but I could name 10 PTs off the top of my head right now that is a hell of a lot more experienced than me. I would just say, just go to them. Like, do you know what I mean? So, but with my one-to-one, I'm starting to like go into like the NHS route. So I'm doing my GP referral, I'm doing my lower back spinal course. Like, I'm doing more specialised things. Just because it makes me stand out a little bit more. So, but yeah, so there's that many PTs out there that are level 3. And then I'm in that position which I've said about online coaches, like what makes them stand out from another level PT that is in another gym. So for me, I was like, do you know what, I want to help people that actually really do need like help, do you know what I mean, when it comes to like conditions. Instead of just like, I want to come in and drop two dress sizes. Like, it doesn't interest me anymore. So I like digging deep into different people. So it means like I'm looking more into that one individual. I'm kind of getting into their medication. I'm getting into like their past injuries or any chronic diseases that they may have. So my job at the minute is not to like fix them, it's like to prolong their diseases, because obviously with chronic it's never gonna get better, do you know what I mean? You're just gonna maintain it. That's what I like about it. When they drop their kids off to the school or anything like that, or their day-to-day job's getting better because of me, that makes me 10 times happier than me saying, right, you've lost 2 stone. It's like, yay.
There's nothing better than receiving those messages, is there?
Oh, it's much better, especially when they come in and say, oh, like, my knee's 10 times better today, like, because I've been working with you for 3 or 4 months. Like, there you go, done my job. I can go home happy. But me losing, like, doing like a fat loss thing now, it just doesn't interest me. Like,
so with those courses that you're doing, so the GP referral one, and then I think was it the back one that you said?
Yeah, so it's like it's same with PT, level 2 and level 3, or level 2 you can't do your level 3 without your level 2. So the GP is like your level 2. It's level 3 diploma, but you can't go into the special side of it without doing that course. You can't do lower back, you can't do diabetes, you can't. Do you know what I mean?
So what do those courses allow you to do then? Like, what do they teach you about? Because I've seen them, but I don't actually know what that sort of opens you up to.
So you get an actual doctor, like on these online. This is all online, but you do the practical in person, or you can do them online. But I've always chose to pay to do it in person, so I had to travel all the way down to York and do my practicals and stuff. But they basically teach you about medications, but they teach you about the side effects of the medications and how that's going to help whatever disease that they've got, like hypertension, type 2, type 1 diabetes, all that kind of stuff. And then so they basically teach you how to adapt the training around them. Say for like hypertension, all that kind of stuff, like high blood pressure, you can only do certain exercises, you can't put anything above heads and all that kind of stuff. Do you know what I mean? So you've just got to work around that. And then they teach you how to do an initial consultation. So when it comes to GP referral, 9 times out of 10 the clients don't want to exercise. So what happens is when you go to the GP says, right, you need to lose weight, and they're like, what? So when we're going to set you up with this PT, they don't really want to go there because they think exercise is not going to help. So you've got to then change their mindset and think, right, exercise will help you.
Yeah, and show them how
and
it's
you've
going
got
to
benefit them, and just
Yeah.
basically, and just it's usually like a 12-week scheme that they're usually on, and then after the 12 weeks, it's up to them whether they want to stay on or not. So you basically got 12 weeks to kind of turn them around and just make them better people, really.
So this is the stuff that you're on about with going down the NHS route. So you're basically now like a NHS referred PT, essentially.
Yeah. So I can work around local GPs around the area. So my name is in different GPs now. 9 times out of 10, you get a lot of self referrals. Like you don't get many GP referrals,
right?
Just because the NHS is struggling with funds and stuff. So it's like a lot of people have like self referrals. So I've just took on 3 people who have self referrals, who have got like issues and like their bones and all that kind of stuff, and then they've went through it with me.
And obviously you're saying that this side of thing now is the thing that you want to go into deeper, so you want to help people out with those chronic issues and potential injuries that they've had in the past.
Yeah, absolutely. So I just find it more interesting, and it kind of makes me do my job instead of just going like, right, 4 reps left. Yeah, right, go on the next one, you got 3 sets of 10. It's just like I've done it now. Like I haven't done it for that long, but I've spent a lot of hours on the gym floor. So basically my goal is to specialize into the job that I'm in now, and work with specific types of people that actually really do need my help, and lower my hours but then up my price. Right. So this is what I've done. So when I'm older, I don't want to be working on the gym floor for ages and staying.
I was just about to say, is this something that you can see yourself doing long term?
Yeah. So long term, yes, because I feel like it's more of a, like when people say now like, oh, what do you do for a living? I say like, I'm a PT, but I'll help with chronic diseases. They go, oh, I haven't actually heard about that before. If I just say I'm a PT, they just think instantly like I'm a PT working in a commercial gym. Now, do you know what I mean? But I've actually went, like I've paid money to do these extra qualifications, and I've got an interest in 9 times 10 it's older people between like 40 and 80. That's what I'm kind of dealing with, not anyone younger. Other than diabetes, like I've just took on someone who's got diabetes and he's like early 20s.
Right.
So yeah, that's what I kind of want to do. Hence why photography. I've kind of thought I can push that a bit more if I lower my hours. But yeah.
Thank you very much for watching part 1 of the podcast. If you'd like to watch part 2, click here. If you're new, make sure you subscribe, and if you enjoyed it, drop it a like below. Thanks.